Ben, today is Monday, June 25th, 2012, a day I have been looking forward to for so long. A day that I will remember for the rest of my life as the day that we began Supercarlinbrothers. Here we go.
Hey, older brother.
Hey, brother.
Hello, Jay, and welcome to Thoughts with Ben.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother. Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother. Go to the couch.
I know. Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother. Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother. You notice how fast that was, Ben? Hey, guys.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
My name is Jonathan Carlin. I am a YouTuber.
And my name is Benjamin Carlin, and I am a YouTuber. Supercarlinbrothers is the wackiest brother project gone viral turned career ever.
All in all, we're a fan theory channel that makes up theories for your favorite fandoms. Largely focused on Harry Potter, but also like Star Wars, Marvel, Disney, Pixar, Avatar, sometimes Pokemon, whatever we feel like, but a lot of Harry Potter.
That was a far more informative answer than the one I gave.
Well, you know. So before we started Supercarlinbrothers, I had another channel that I started in college back in 2009 called Jonkerlin. At the time, I was in college at Virginia Tech. I was studying for communication. I was sort of on the become a reporter track, if you will. I liked all of my classwork. I liked, working with the cameras. I liked doing the editing. I liked going out and interviewing people, and I liked being on camera. But what I kept discovering was that I did not really care about the news. But at the same time, this was like in the very early days of YouTube, and I had started watching like a lot of YouTube, just sort of like on my own. I started to realize that like I'm watching more people on YouTube than I am just like regular TV. I also started to realize that a lot of the people I'm watching, they're so funny, they're so entertaining, but they're not like professional entertainers. They're just like people in their bedrooms with cameras. You know what? I got a camera. I got a bedroom. I'm studying the stuff with the right skills to do this. Like, I think I want to try and like give it a shot.
Me personally, I was not subscribed to anybody. I never saw it as a career opportunity for us. We grew up, our dad was like the local TV news anchor, so this like idea of being on camera for a living had been kind of presented to me on a silver platter, and I would say I had gone so far as to actively like reject that particular pathway in terms of career potential. I had this like aquarium company that I still own to this day, where I would go and install aquariums in people's homes and businesses and maintain them for them. I mean, that's just what I was doing. It was what I knew the most about, and I was gung-ho about it. But never in a million years did I think that YouTube would be what it is today, especially not for me.
We started Supercarlinbrothers over 12 years ago. Yeah, we're in year 13. The initial idea behind the channel was to kind of be like a very Vlogbrothers style channel. Like if you know the Vlogbrothers, John and Hank Green, they did this thing called Brotherhood 2.0, where for a whole year they only communicated via the videos they uploaded on YouTube. So, John Monday, Hank Tuesday, John Wednesday, rinse repeat for a whole year. I would watch them and they were so funny and so entertaining. And I thought, you know what? I've got a brother, this guy. And at the time, like I had I'd stopped my first channel and I'd gotten like a real job, but I was getting that YouTube itch again. I was like, I want to try again. Now I've got more experience. I can go in there. This is what's gonna do it. Like I'm gonna bring Ben in. That's the secret sauce. We're gonna destroy it. We're gonna do this cool project. It worked for them. It's gonna work for us. I think it's going to be really fun and difficult and challenging and hopefully rewarding in the long run, and just a way to get to know my brother even better. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope to see you there. And so the early days of the channel were very in that vein. It was kind of like, this is what was happening in my day, or this was a funny thing I noticed, or have you ever thought about something like this? And we had videos that were all over the place. They weren't very fandom related at all. Is there a manly way to eat yogurt? How do you eat an everything bagel? Are narwhals real? We did that for a whole year. We didn't miss a single day.
No, we didn't miss a single
Yeah.
day. Yeah, 260 videos
260 videos.
across the first year. I was graduating college in May of 2012, and Jay obviously had like his first real world job, and he was still living at home with mom and dad. And I was leaving this world where I was used to living on my own in my own apartment in college and everything. And I was like, I don't want to move back in with mom and dad, but I can't afford rent by myself. So maybe if I can talk to Jay, there could be a world where we could be roommates. And Jay was like, well, how about this? How about we do Supercarlinbrothers together as this like YouTube project for a year, and like I'll move in and we'll be doing the whole project together, from the basement of the house we were renting. And it was like, okay, perfect. If you go back and get that first ever video of me in my first like few words on YouTube, I'm pretty sure I go, "What's up, Jay? I'm Ben, the other half of Supercarlinbrothers."
What's up, Jay? I am Ben, and of course, I am the other half of Supercarlinbrothers.
I thought I was performing. I thought I was like hamming it up for the camera.
Right.
And like when I go back and watch it now, I'm like, why was I so stoic? Why was I so like stuck? You had like a kind of vision that I think helped direct like what the kind of tone
Yeah.
and feel you wanted.
I think I watched a lot more YouTubers, and so it was like I kind of knew how they like spoke to the camera in
Right.
like a specific kind of way.
Yes, but it was really interesting. I think the way that it changed how I thought about the world. Everything became observational humor. Everything, like I remember going through the line at the coffee shop one day, and my tab was $1 for a standard small cup of coffee. I had this like internal dilemma of like, what kind of tip do you leave on a $1 coffee? Because like your standard 20%, like all of a sudden leaving like a 20-cent tip seems a little offensive.
I know, yeah.
Like I don't want to leave somebody like 2 dimes as their tip. That's the whole bit. I made a 3-minute video out of that sentence.
Yeah. There was a couple of like jokes that really survived through. Some of them still today. Like I mentioned earlier, like the "Are Narwhals Real" thing.
Yes.
That was definitely one of the like most popular year one videos. We had like our channel mascots, the grizzly eagle shark and the giraffe-elent,
Yep.
which were like mortal enemies. Another YouTuber we started watching a lot during that time was a guy named Zay Frank, who does like the true facts about animals videos now. I made 2 videos about him. True facts about Zay Frank, sort of a riff on his own style.
Yep.
And then one was
the Zay Frank formula.
the Zay Frank formula, where I went through and like demonstrated how he made his videos, and he responded to both of them. He had a huge subscriber base, and so in like 600,000 people's feeds, it said Zay Frank commented on the Zay Frank formula.
Yeah.
And then like the act of just him commenting on it was like it generated so much traction on those videos.
We'd wake up every morning and refresh our email, and it was like, we would refresh it that morning, and it was like 60 new emails, and you're like,
Yeah.
What?
What?
Like, what happened? The really big thing about year one in particular was we were both working full-time day jobs.
Yeah.
And so it was not, it wasn't that it wasn't even uncommon, it's what we had to do was get home at 5 p.m. every day, work dinner into your equation at some point in time, and then we would write, shoot, and edit a video inside of that evening.
The rule of the game was that you had to have it up by midnight. Most of the time, I'd say we get them up like around 10 or something. And there were days when it was like, well, it's 11:55.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And there were so many occasions where like we would have people over to watch a sporting event. Like a football
Yeah.
game was on for Thursday night football.
Thursday night football. Let's go.
And so you'd be down in the basement filming, and then you'd hear everybody like jumping up and down up above you having this like grand old time. And obviously it ended up being worth it after all this time. Like there's nothing we've ever done that has been so worth the investment of our time and energy.
Yeah.
But inside of those moments, we hadn't crossed that threshold yet. We had no idea. We were making no money, like
Right.
$0 return. So inside of those moments, it was always really difficult to like stick the course and not run upstairs and just plop down on the couch with everybody and be a part of the fun thing that was going on and,
Right.
and try to focus on like what we were doing. So once we got out of year one, we dialed it back to 1 video each a week, and I think that got that that balance into a much happier equilibrium.
My hopes at the time when we were doing year one is that we would have caught enough traction that it would be like, well, this is so obviously what we have to keep doing. And that maybe we'd be at a spot where, you know, we could just do that. And like, that would be our, you know, then if you could spend all day on it, it wouldn't be a problem. The reality was we only had like 2,000 subscribers at the time. And rather than having this big massive audience, what we had was this very leaned in small audience. We had this like very cool tight knit community of people that was watching us, and like we felt like we got to know the people in the comments and stuff. We didn't want to like completely abandon YouTube altogether. We just didn't feel like we felt like we'd completed the challenge. And so like we need to like give ourselves the time back.
Without that community, I think I just kind of would have been like, okay, like, you know, I think my creative expression has been expressed, and I don't know that there's like something else I need or want to say. But there was this great sense of community, and I didn't want to leave those people, and you know, so I think they were the reason that I stuck with it after that.
The biggest video I think we've ever made, that is still our most viewed video, that would change our lives forever, was the Pixar theory. Another thing we always loved was the Easter eggs in Pixar movies, because they were so big on Easter eggs, and it was so fun to find them. I was talking to actually our younger brother Tyler, and I was telling him like some of the ones that I had discovered, just like looking them up online or finding them in the movie or whatever, and he was like, oh, that's cool. That kind of like, it's like, have you heard this thing called the Pixar theory? It was a blog post by a guy named John Negroni, and it was just like mind-blowing to me. And like, you know, we had like very tiny subscriber base at the time, like in like the 2,500 range or something like that. I was like, you know what? This is a great video for next week. You know, I know what I'm doing.
The Pixar theory is the idea that all Pixar movies take place on the same timeline. Everything from Toy Story to Monsters University is part of one giant story arc, and they're all connected.
And so I did it. I think it was, you know, at the time it was like a 12-minute video.
It was life-changing because people were leaving comments, people were subscribing, and I think, you know, almost immediately we rocketed it up to 60,000 subscribers. They were people who were like, wow, this video was so good, we really like it, but they didn't want the other content we were making.
I know.
They wanted like the Pixar theory or something similar.
It did make us start like kind of keeping our eyes open for other like fandom-y theory kind of things.
Yes.
And so like I think we did one about like Frozen and the true Prince of Arendelle, and I think we made a couple of Star Wars ones about like the Jedi are evil and stuff like that. And sure enough, anytime we would make a fandom style content, those would then jump up to like 50, 60,000 views.
Yeah.
What if we just left turn into only that?
Right.
And it sounds so obvious looking back. That's what we should have immediately started doing.
Yes.
But we didn't. The video was the top 5 snubbed Disney princesses. That was the turn.
The fulcrum.
That was the fulcrum. That is where we turned left into the fandoms.
This felt like a huge risk, and I think like even when you go back to the end of year one and that super leaned in community we had built, it almost felt like we would potentially be betraying those people who saw us through our formative years to start doing something that wasn't what they signed up for, and they were the reason that we were sticking with it all this while. It's kind of remarkable how you'll have somebody come up and say hello to you or thank you for the content, and they'll be like, I've been watching you for 12 years, and you're like, no, what?
No.
Like, why? Man, one of my favorite videos we ever did was Is Meg from Hercules Mother Gothel from Tangled?
Yeah.
Yes. When my wife and I first started dating, we were going through, like, I was introducing her to like my world of you know, like this stuff that I do. We were watching old Disney movies or recent Disney movies. One of like the things I noticed was that Meg says the phrase "ya big lug," and then also Mother Gothel says
"you big lug."
And I was like, well, that's a strange thing for both of these characters to say, and they both kind of have like a similar-ish character vibe and that type of thing. We started pulling that thread, and it just kept working. It just kept going.
It just kept working.
I've always loved that one because I felt like the ways under which it came together was just so authentic. It was like your true blue like fan experience. Like I wasn't watching these movies for work. I wasn't trying to write a theory. It just sort of like started to formulate.
Another one that always stands out to me from the maybe earlier days was Toy Story 0, The Truth About Andy's Dad. So I don't even, someone like left a, like sent me an email or left a comment somewhere and was like, did you see this guy's live stream the other day? He was talking about some crazy Pixar theory, and his name was Mike Mozart. He starts telling the story about how he had this lunch with Joe Ranch, one of the brain trust at Pixar, who like helped make Toy Story and make the company from the beginning.
Yes.
And how he told him this backstory for Andy's dad and how he had died and how he had given him Woody. Like I started watching the video like, what is this guy talking about? And by the end I was like, I have to talk to this person. Fortunately for us, that story was like 3 hours into a live stream. So like, unless you'd been, and that had been seen by like 50 people, we gotta move
now.
Someone else is gonna see this story and they are gonna beat us to the punch. And we got in touch with them. I couldn't believe it. He emailed me back and we had this amazing interview with him, and we ended up making 2 videos about it. We posted the story. It was super sad. It was going really viral.
Yes.
And like people were sharing it everywhere. We started getting, it was like popping up on like all the news websites, and it got enough traction that Andrew Stanton at Pixar, who directed Finding Nemo, posted on Twitter, and he shared a link to one of the articles and was said like, I was there, this isn't true. Oh no!
Oh man.
But at the same rate, it was like, even though we sort of got slammed by one of the Pixar directors, that just started up a whole new round of news, because they were like, Pixar director slams sad Toy Story theory. Whether Joe shared the story with the rest of Pixar, I don't know. All I can think is that it was his personal headcanon, and he had lunch with Mike one day and told him that, and Mike remembered it, and Joe never told anyone. And the flip side of this is that Joe has since passed away. On that note, we had a similar situation on a Harry Potter video we did early on.
We did indeed.
Called Dumbledore's Horcrux.
Yep.
Wherein we argued that Dumbledore had turned his Phoenix Fox into a Horcrux. I spent the whole week at my house, like pacing in the backyard, coming up with different points, formulating the whole thing out. I was like, this is rock solid. It's locked and loaded. This is the best Harry Potter theory we've ever come up with.
Yeah.
It is ironclad. Like, it has to be true. I was so certain of it that I made the video and I was like, guys, I think we're really onto something here. So just go tweet at JK Rowling that, is this true? Is it true? And she responded.
Not in the best way.
She was like, anyone who thinks this is true clearly hasn't read the books. I think that was her direct tweet. But again, very bittersweet, because as soon as she said that, every news source in the world was like, JK Rowling, the one fan theory JK Rowling hates.
That's us.
That's us.
Harry Potter is definitely one of those things that we've locked into in a really big way. I mean, it's something that we're deeply passionate about, and we have just enjoyed. We have our podcast Through the Gryffindor, where we do like a chapter by chapter read through and analysis of the story, which is just like, if you ever wanted something in excruciating detail, that's where to find it. But one of our favorite things that we've ever done was what if Harry had been sorted into Slytherin House? Yeah. It started just sort of being like, well, why don't we just see like what would have happened, like what would his first year at school be like? Yeah. And so we put together this, massive chunky video and methodically went through like, okay, like what class will he been in, where are the Slytherins here and when, and it's sort of modifying the whole story from the ground up. And we ended up making it into a like 7 or 8 part series. Yeah. Basically like recrafted the whole narrative. We meet people like, whenever we're out and on tour and everything, and they'll come up and tell us we like the what if Harry was in Slytherin version, like, as much as the original saga.
Yeah, the original saga. That is probably the thing we've made that I'm like the most proud of. I don't think I've ever poured so much blood, sweat, and tears into any project we've done, because it was like all I could think about. I was dreaming in Harry Potter and Slytherin, you know?
It was just everywhere. I think the whole thing is 210 pages long.
Yeah, it was. Each book just got longer and longer, and we'd have to make the next one the next week, in addition to the other video we'd be doing that week.
Right,
So that would always be weird.
What we always said was we weren't trying to write like fan fiction. What we were trying to do was just discover what we think would happen next based on what we know about all the character motivations and stuff.
Right.
So oftentimes you'd find yourself like right up against the wall, and like, you know, we'd be sitting in here, our whiteboard is just covered in notes and ideas and scribbles, and like, what about this? What about this? What about this? Oh, how about this person? And you know, you'd have these like breakthrough moments where everything would click into gear, and it was like, oh no, like it changed everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I mean, it was so satisfying. Jay versus Ben in its earliest configuration it's a show where Jay and I face off with each other to test how well we know obscure trivia from our favorite fandoms.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing about Jay versus Ben to me is that we were trying to concoct a piece of content that we could make that didn't require all the laborious writing.
All the writing. What if we just, me and you, just do like a trivia battle with each other? We can just go back, we'll look one up online, and, you know, editor can read it to us, and we'll answer the questions on like little whiteboards, and that'll be the Jay vs. Ben, the show. We did it, and people, they really liked it. In like our own brains, again, we were like, well, people clearly can tell, they know our inner hearts that the only reason they're doing is so they don't have to write stuff.
Yes.
Like, we almost felt like guilty about it. So we were like, well, we'll only do it once a month. We'll just
Right.
do it once a month, and that'll be like, you know, when we get to it, that's like a little reprieve. But in the meantime, we can't, like, you know, hard commit to anything because people will think we're just getting lazy and can't think of other stuff. We did that for a long time.
For a very long time.
A long time.
I think it wasn't until we had a set of sponsors come on board for the channel, and they were like, people really love these. Like, what do we have to do to get you guys to make more of them? I guess that's enough reason.
I know, that's enough reason. I guess we could do it every other week.
So that's become like the new cadence. But that is one of the most fascinating aspects of the channel, because that's another one where you meet people and they're like, I love the Jay versus Ben. So
Yeah.
like, I will turn them on. I'll turn on a playlist at night, and I'll go to sleep listening to you guys duke it out in trivia.
So we did all those for like a long time, and then during the pandemic, everyone was, you know, trapped inside, and they couldn't leave, and they needed stuff to do. We took like the next evolution of Jay vs. Ben, where we like flipped it around, and instead of us being the ones answering the questions, we were the ones asking it. And we were, every Friday night, we were hosting these live streams on the channel and just doing big trivia nights with people. I've really almost never seen anything like that.
It was
like,
the platform we were using is Kahoot, and we were breaking like the capacity limits of what Kahoot is able to accommodate. So we were literally pushing, you know, the edges of like what that technology was able to do.
that was really good because it really felt like you were like kind of like helping people,
Yeah.
like giving them something to do. And that's one of those things where you look at it now, it's like, man, they're not really as successful as they were. And it's like, that's probably a good thing, though.
It's probably a good thing because
Probably a
people
good
are
thing,
allowed to go
'cause
out
they're
into the
allowed
world.
to leave.
Yeah.
The other tradition we've developed is our Goblet of Fire episode every year.
Every year for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We'll eat an entire massive batch of extremely spicy, like million Scoville unit wings.
Yeah, wings. Or if we get a question wrong, we have to eat a wing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and we always. It hurts, but it's worth it. Just last year, we decided like, oh, instead of having just a weekly battle, we'll make it like, we will have weekly battles, but then it'll all go towards a big pot for the whole year.
For the whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our 12-hour end of year episode that goes out, and the competition is fierce.
The competition is fierce. Yes.
I bet we're within 5 points of each other right now.
I think we are. It's been very close this year.
In November.
In November, I know. Yeah, it's like I kept thinking like at some point someone's really gonna pull ahead and it won't be interesting anymore, but it's like that hasn't happened. Popcorn culture it's so funny how it has worked out. It was the first podcast we ever launched. It is funny how it has turned out, because when we initially started Supercarlinbrothers, we thought we would be a discussion-based channel that eventually turned into a fandom channel.
Right.
And then as we did more fandom stuff, we'd be writing the videos, but we'd have to leave so much out. or there'd be these like behind the scenes stories, or all these like headlines from the entertainment industry that were like interesting headlines, but not really like video worthy because they weren't like theories, they were just more like news. Well, what if we have a podcast where we can talk about those things? And so the name Popcorn Culture kind of came about because it was like, oh yeah, this will be like the culture of movies, and
Yes, like,
you know,
the popcorn going experience.
the popcorn going experience, yeah. But hilariously, whilst that was true for the very early days of popcorn culture, that one we set out for it to be a fandom podcast, and it turned into a discussion-based podcast.
It sure did,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think like when you go back to 2019 and you look at the box office, you can see, because that's the year we launched Popcorn Culture, you can see why we landed there. I think Disney alone had 10 different projects clear $1 billion at the box
Yeah,
office.
yeah.
It was a huge
Yeah.
year for cinema, and I mean it's almost a comical effect where you can go back and look at the box office numbers for 2019 and then starkly compare them to 2020 when
Oh,
the
I
pandemic
know.
had happened, and everything just came to a screeching halt. Now the fundamental basis for our podcast had kind of evaporated. What that made way for is the opportunity for Jay and I to go back to a lot of the conversations that we had in year one Super Carlin Brothers. Like, we got to just be brothers and tell the stories of what it was like growing up together and running around with our group of friends. And I was getting married very shortly after we launched
Yep.
it, so we could talk about my wedding, and then
Right.
you know, like having our children
Yes.
who were born along the way. So like, you know, the people who have been along the ride with us, it's been like an opportunity to connect with those people and for them to get to know us as people a little bit more. The popcorn culture, the little kernels is what we call the people who listen, has turned into just an absolutely phenomenal community of people. Like we've hosted events here in Roanoke, Virginia during a very like, you know, prominent festival that we have,
Yeah.
the Go Outside Festival, where, you know, we've invited people for free to come in and we'll do like a live performance of the show. And so, you know, we've had hundreds of people travel to the Roanoke area just
Yeah,
to come and be
just to
a
come,
part
yeah,
of
to
this
listen
thing.
to the
So
podcast.
the pop, I think, lives very close to our hearts.
Yeah.
You know, because it really is like, it's almost sort of like our diary.
I would say what's really fun still about Super Carlin Brothers and what I like is that I still love coming into work every day and like doing it.
Yeah, there's oftentimes I feel like, you know, I'll ask you, it's like, you know, if like let's just say you could take all the finances, like all the things that we need about our jobs. Like if we could retire today, what would you do?
I'm always like, I don't know, I'm like, maybe I'd get around to finally making some videos. you
Right,
know?
yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know, like I think the really big and kind of unique thing about what we're doing here is that, like, you know, we will be amongst the first generation of people who have ever attempted to make a full-length career out of being online content creators. And so I think a lot of times, like, that's like one of the big, you know, motivators, I think, living in the back of your mind is that it's like, okay, like every year that goes by, it's like we did it again. Like we
I know.
continue to do it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we're able to provide jobs here in our hometown, which is something we're really proud of. We try to make sure our staff is extremely well, you know, cared for and looked after along the way, which are all like, you know, very important aspects of what we're attempting to do here. You know, as a small business living in a small town, our hometown.
Yeah.
And so more than anything, it's like, you know, you're trying to find ways to make sure that you're not feeling creatively burnt out. You're still getting to talk about things that you love, and you're still kind of being a positive force for people out there on the internet. Because that's, you know, it's like we talked as much as we have about all the various fandoms and you know, Harry Potter and Disney and Pixar and all that type of stuff. But like, I think one of the through lines that has never failed even from year one is that we are positively oriented people. Like our goal is to try to make sure that everybody in our community feels welcome and safe and cared for. And you know, I think that that's just something that we want to make sure that we continue to do. That it's a safe place for people to come on the internet to enjoy the things that they love.
Everything is part of the Pixar theory. Thinking about it is getting me teary. One giant timeline, one huge story. From Ratatouille to Finding Dory. The Pixar theory, the Pixar theory. We're finally going to see it clearly. The Pixar theory will make you cheery. This is the Pixar theory. Way back in time, prehistoric time, the asteroid that They're trying to wipe the dinosaurs. Misses. Animals develop intelligence. They have school systems and a real estate market, I guess. The Incredibles introduces the machines. Syndrome creates AI. The damage is done. The end of humans. The machines are on their rise. Everything is like the Pixar theory. Thinking about it is getting me teary. One giant timeline, one huge story. From Monsters Inc. to Up and Wally. The Pixar theory, the Pixar theory. We're finally going to see clearly.